Don't get naked for God's sake.
More skilled.
Oh my God, calm down. We are not all equal. If we accept that we must allow some people to fall to the bottom because they are thick, we need elite societies.
In this video, I'm going to be reviewing a hilarious and fun speech from Katie Hopkins, who is a British media personality and a political commentator. Now, this is an Oxford Union speech, and in my opinion, it highlights some extremely important points about free speech. So can't wait to read your comments on this one. And with that, let's get into the clips.
Do feel free, guys, to get involved with points of information. You are sat there rather mute at the moment. I'm not sure why. I don't know if you're frightened of the other speakers. I would sincerely doubt it. But, you know, do feel free to just get involved. I don't think this is a speaking at... One second. No, you're far too scruffy. Sit down. This is a debating chamber. After all, this is not a talking at chamber. So do feel free. OK, go on then. Have your moment in the sunshine.
Considering you were propelled to fame by The Apprentice...
Propelled?
Propelled indeed, yes. Fame by The Apprentice, which has a quota of 10 male candidates and 10 female candidates. Isn't your fame a result of positive discrimination?
Well done, sir, well done. Good, point of information. I didn't seek fame. I thought I was looking for a job, but then I realised Lord Sugar was an absolute twat. So is positive discrimination really the solution in an unequal society? And, you know, I think we've gone ahead of ourselves. We've gambled along and we've got rather ahead of ourselves, because I would say, you know, is it really a bad thing that society is unequal? Isn't actually. Are we looking for are we a bit bored? Are we looking for a problem where there isn't actually a problem? Is it really... I say, where did that... Hello? I'm going to come right back. I'm just going to give this a whirl. I'll come right back to you. Are we looking for a problem where there isn't actually one? Is it perhaps a terrific thing that society is unequal? Isn't inequality superb? That's what I would say. I would say life is not fair. I say it to my children on a daily basis, or when I see them or contact them by phone. I say, darlings, life is not fair. Suck it up. I've written it in your book this evening so that you can refer to it when I'm no longer here to guide you with my wisdom, sir.
The ideas that Katie Hopkins is talking about here are very similar to that of Ayn Rand, author of Atlas Shrugged and The Virtue of Selfishness. Ideas that the highest moral purpose in life should be self-interest, not in the sense of exploiting others, but in the sense of realizing your highest potential and purpose in life and allowing others to do the same thing as well. And if you guys want, leave it in the comments and I'll do a video on Ayn Rand at some point in the future. But she suggests that not only are these ideas extremely beneficial on a personal level because they inspire purpose and self-esteem, but also on a societal level because the pursuit of self-interest is what causes great structures to be built, ideas to be explored, leaders to be born, and societies to thrive.
Sit down, sir.
Thank you.
What's your name?
My name's Femi Islander.
I say.
I'm looking around the chamber tonight, and I can see possibly, I can't see down there, but about 5 people in this chamber who look like me and resemble me. So is it fair for you to say that it's not a problem that our society is necessarily unequal? And is it fair for you to use inequality and fairness to talk about things such as race and sex and gender, which aren't very divisible in that way?
But I would say that, sir, you speak for 1,000 men when you speak, no? Do you not feel you speak for 1,000 men? Do you not have the power? That's how I feel about people. We represent because we represent with some force. And anyone called, Femi speaks for 1,000 men, surely. But I will come back to your point, I will. Now, I think life is not fair because we are all a little bit different, aren't we? Some of us aren't blessed in the looks department, Stuart. And we just have to... But, you know, we can overcome that, can't we? We can wear a bit of a flourish or a white bow tie, and we can overcome that. Do you want to go before him?
Yeah.
So in the United States, inequality in the healthcare sector, the discrimination against black individuals, results in an excess 100,000 premature black deaths per year. So to those 100,000 people who are going to die this year early because they're black, what would you say about your intellectualizing about whether inequality is, okay or right, or you put on a nice little blouse to solve it?
Sure. And I think sometimes I think we have to acknowledge that, being equal is not necessarily efficient. Just bear with me for one moment, sir. We have to sift out those people who are stupid. Now, 16% of our fantastic... One moment, sir. Sit down. I don't like your top. 16%... Sit down, sir. If you can't dress nicely, I'm not going to talk to you.
Did that make you cringe a little bit? Well, it should. You see, the way I see this is that people like Katie Hopkins are the jesters in the courtroom of our modern politically correct culture. Individuals like Katie Hopkins and Milo and Gavin McInnes and Tate and David Goggins, and especially the stand-up comedians, which is essentially what she's doing in this speech. A comedic performance where she pushes the boundaries of what society deems to be acceptable by using shock value and entertainment. These types of characters are more necessary now than they've ever been, and they need to be protected because they are a dying breed. You may not agree with her, and that's completely fine and understandable. But if you're somebody that does value freedom, then it's important to acknowledge that these people are the frontline warriors in the battle for freedom of speech and for freedom of expression and fundamentally for freedom of thought. And it's a battle that we are engaged in at this very moment in history. These are the people that charge headfirst into battle on the front lines with their outlandish statements and their don't care attitudes. And they take the punishment and the wounds so that everybody else can tentatively come in behind them and join the battle. And when I think about this, I think of the visual representation of wildebeests doing mass migrations when they're all standing at the top of a hill and they've got to jump down off of this mountain and into crocodile-infested water. And they're standing up there, and sometimes it takes hours for the first one to move. But then one of them eventually works up the courage and jumps off the mountain and jumps into the crocodile-infested water, even though they're much more likely to be eaten. But somebody had to do it, or else nobody gets to move forward. And I believe that that's a good analogy with where we're at in our culture right now. We're all standing at the cliff face, and then there are a few people who jump off and into the crocodile-infested water, and they may not do it perfectly, but at least they've got the courage to go forward. And if we have enough people that follow suit, then maybe we'll make it to the other side in one piece. When I look at the chessboard of the world at the moment, and especially in the context of free speech, the American Constitution, and especially the First and Second Amendment, are the only things keeping the barbarians from kicking down the gate. And here's a good visual representation of just that.
Hold the door! Hold the door! 16% of our population have an IQ lower than 85, ladies and gentlemen. That's the sort... It's the sit down, although I like your suit. The sort of IQ where you have to be introduced to yourself in a mirror. It's the sort of IQ where you need a cue card to remember to blink. It's a sort of IQ where you need to give an information to drink through a straw. That is 16% of our population, ladies and gentlemen. I would suggest to you that we need to let those people fail. We need to stop handing... Sit down, I said I don't like your top. We need to stop hand-holding these people. We need to allow the weak to fail, and we now need to allow the sick to die. We haven't got time to be dealing with all this. Sir, at the back. Yes, go.
I just wanted to point out that IQ is actually constructed as a statistical average with which it is necessary that...
Woo! You're boring me already, sweetheart. Sit down. Sit down! Sit down. I think we need to recognise that we need to allow these people to fail. Now, we sift those people off, don't we? We let them go to polytechnics and we let them learn about building and craftsmanship. We let them go, sit down, sit down. We let them go to further education to learn how to be a hairdresser and how to be a... Ooh, sit down. Don't throw yourself down. And how to be a beautician. We need to funnel people. We need to channel people. Why do we want everybody to go to university? We need you people. And we need you here. We need elite, sit down. We need elite societies, and that's what you guys bring. This is the elite. Society is not equal. Celebrate the fact that this is not an equal society. Yes, sir.
See, I think that she's correct about the fact that the highest IQs will end up at Oxford, but flat out wrong about builders and people in the construction industry being down the lower end. IQ actually tests for mathematical ability, and it tests for spatial awareness and problem solving. These are all things that are very necessary in the life of a builder. Now, obviously, there are some more mindless trades, but I do think that the professional landscape of the world is really changing. And also, the intellectual landscape of the world is changing in a big way as well. And let me explain to you how. The way in which information is accessed by the regular person has been completely revolutionized since the advent of the internet. And no longer do educational institutions have a monopoly over information. Back in the day, ancient libraries used to be the repository of all wisdom and knowledge, and only a select few people were able to access this information, and most of the population was completely illiterate. And then came such inventions as the printing press, and education started to become a lot more efficient and widely accessible. But with the internet, anybody can access any information that they like. And you don't have to just read what you're fed anymore, and you don't have to go to a university and do a 4-year course to learn about rather simple things. I often find that people who are completely removed from big institutions and have never gotten a university degree much more interesting to speak to because they're self-educated and they've developed critical thinking skills for themselves. I would much rather sit down and have a long conversation with a truck driver who listens to podcasts all day than I would somebody who's just gotten out of a law school and has just been fed information for the past few years and doesn't really have an opinion of their own. And I do love that concept because I know that these academic professors in their ivory towers and their tenured jobs lose sleep over the fact that Joe Rogan is a source of credible information in the year 2023. They would have nightmares about peasants like me and awaken in fits of rage knowing that I'm online talking about things that were once considered topics that only the intellectuals are able to speak about.
Have you forgotten what you were going to say?
No, I'm just
Stop adjusting his glasses and crack on, sir.
It is that in addition to making a speech that seems to suggest you're a clown, you're also dressed like one.
I can't hear you.
What I want to ask you.
I can't hear you.
What I want to ask you is how do you feel about the fact that you wouldn't have been able to vote in this country 100 years ago? Is that the sort of aggressive distinction?
How on earth is me voting 100 years ago have anything to do with positive discrimination or equality?
Hierarchy and equality, and you've suggested that people who can't earn an income sufficient enough to pay for their health care should be weeded out.
I don't think talking about the suffragettes is relevant to this conversation. Sit down, please, sir. Yes, sir, at the top in the red.
Oh, that wasn't mine again, but I was going to say, wouldn't people agree that you fit into that IQ category?
I don't mind if you think I fit into that category. I don't mind that at all. What I really care about is that people accept my perspective that we do not need positive discrimination because all of you don't want to be equal. None of you want to be equal. All of you want to be better than the rest. And that's what I believe. An unequal society. You've taken your top off. Okay, bear with me 1 second. An unequal society promotes greed, it promotes jealousy, it promotes wanting to be better than my neighbour, and actually those are very positive motivators for people. That's what gets the wheels of industry turning. Jealousy is a very great thing, I believe. Go on, sir. Don't get naked. Don't get naked for God's sake. Oh my God. Calm down. Calm down.
Excuse me, on a point of order, I must take the point of order, sir.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Point of order, I must
There
say.
should be no reason why a speaker should be touching a member of the audience.
I thought he may have a temperature. I was just checking whether he had a temperature. Now, what
I
would
must
say-
quickly remind all speakers if a member of the audience does not feel comfortable being touched. So please return to the speech. Thank you very much.
This is exactly how debates should take place. Everybody having a laugh and a bit of fun and taking potshots at each other, but in good faith, because everybody should be thick-skinned enough for that. Except, of course, for the absolute snowflake complaining about how she touched his forehead. Just get over yourself. There is a brutal and harsh world waiting outside of the walls of your university, and you're going to have to sturdy yourself for that and not get offended over every little thing. But back to the point, if you want to discuss important things, you have to be able to give it and take it, because that's what life is like. You're going to have your wins and your losses. You're going to be criticized from time to time. You have to be able to accept it. But right now, we are actively creating the opposite. We are full speed ahead in the complete and utter pussification of our young generation. We are creating social justice warriors that can give it all day long until the cows come home, but can't take it. But it's so refreshing to see Katie Hopkins here speaking without a filter and saying exactly what's on her mind. And it might make you cringe by the politically correct culture that we live in. We have been conditioned to self-censor, and it's only getting worse as the list of things that we can't do and say gets bigger. We are quickly losing the ability to be able to be intellectually free, and that's because we give that freedom away, one small concession at a time, until we've done it 1,000 times, and we look back and think to ourselves, shit, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where we have to say that men can be women? How did we get to the point where we say that men can have periods? How did we get to the point when politicians can't give a straight answer on what a woman is?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
But this is why individuals like Katie Hopkins are so important, because they do not do that. They have the moral courage to stand up and say, no, you will not control my speech, and you will not control what I think as much as you would like to do so.
So, the other thing is, if we accept that we are not all equal, if we accept that we must allow some people to fall to the bottom because they are thick, what about if we add in, sit down, sir, economic inequality, which I believe in. We are not all economically equal either, and nor should we. We need people who are going to rise to the top. The top 30% of this country pay, hold on, the top 1% of this country pay 30% of the tax of our country. 1% pay 30%. Imagine life without them. Imagine if you really did believe in all this equality nonsense. We don't want equality, we want equitable treatment, and that's a very different thing. So you go for your life, but do not tell me not to touch people, because I will touch who I like.
Fair enough. So you say that we should have some sort of elite society. Maybe that is so. Wouldn't it be nice to have more people enter the elite society and not have them be pushed out automatically based on their gender or skin color?
I haven't got time for that, sir. I haven't got time. Life is short. I need to make decisions quickly. Life is not equal. People are not the same. Some people are thick. We don't want economic equality. We need to move forward and recommend that we do not have positive discrimination, because none of you guys can look in the mirror and say that you want to be equal. You want to leave here as the elite of our society, and I praise you for that. I wish you well. I wish you to go out into the world and make a difference, because you are the people we need, and we do not need people who are too stupid to be here just because of their postcode. Oh, sorry, yes, go.
Do you have a clear argument that you can make, that we can actually follow? One argument.
It's a very clear argument, Sarah. I'm saying that we should accept that there is inequality and that we do not need positive discrimination to counter that. I am very happy with the fact that society is unequal. I'm very happy that life is not fair. Yes, sir.
Is your argument that the underrepresentation of minorities at this university as a result of their lack of intelligence?
I'm very happy with the people sat in this room. You're all here. You're all fascinating. You all want to get involved. You all want to learn. I'm thrilled that this institution has elite people in it. I couldn't be happier. It's the reason I come here. And it's the reason I go to Cambridge Union, although that bunch are not as good looking as you lot. But it's the reason I'm here is because I believe in this institution completely, and I don't want to see it changed. I'm not bothered. You guys look like you are going to go out and conquer the world, and that gives me immense satisfaction. I'm going to get dinged at. Am I allowed to take that point of information? Okay, good.
You talk about people with low IQs, but weren't those people who read your column in the Sun?
Probably, although I got paid quite well for it. So, but actually, it's Britain's biggest selling newspaper, so it's quite a good column. Okay, so please go with me on this. Life is not equal. That is not a bad thing. Question to yourself, why do you want equality when you're here and you want to be one of the elite yourselves? When you get paid twice the amount of the average wage, are you going to hand it back? Because will you still believe in the liberal values that you currently have? Thank you very much indeed.
Let me just remind you guys that this is the Oxford University that she's speaking at. Not a good university, not a great university, the most prestigious university on the planet. Not only do you have to be in the 1% intellectually to go here, you also have to have the potential to be great in your field and also possess fantastic personal character. If you attend Oxford University, then you are literally merit-based inequality personified. You are the living embodiment of how a merit-based society places some people higher than others. You attend an institution where of the 57 British prime ministers, 30 of them have gone to Oxford, and the second most prestigious university in the country, Cambridge, a further 14 prime ministers have gone there. And guess what? That's a good thing. We want a society where the cream rises to the top and where future leaders can be educated and nurtured in these old and ancient and very sophisticated institutions. And despite all my criticisms of universities and academic elites, which there are many, I do still have a very fundamental appreciation of institutions such as Oxford. And these debates that they hold, these Oxford Union debates, are a fantastic thing. And it shows that they're still interested in teaching their students how to think, and they're still advocates of the intellectual rigors of debating. It should be about your personal merit. It shouldn't be about the color of your skin or what's between your legs or any other arbitrary thing about you. And if you do make it to the top, like these students, then please spare us the sanctimonious and self-righteous virtue signaling. Embrace the hyper-competitive world that you live in, and please do not pretend to want equality of outcome. You cannot possess that worldview while your actions suggest something totally different. That is a raging case of cognitive dissonance. That's it from me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to get at me on social media or join the Rattlesnake TV community at Locals, then have a look at all the links in the bio. And furthermore, if you want to watch another video, then click right here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, then click right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is Rattlesnake TV, keeping you armed and dangerous.